And here we are, guys. Game number 1 between TSL and CheckSix, and in the bottom left, in the pink, from the team, the SCV Life, a very talented Zerg player. His name is RevivaL. And in the top right part of the map, the possible ace for Team CheckSix, but we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of games left. It is a best of 9, but he is CheckSix Sleep, our red Zerg player. So ZVZ on Daybreak. It's an interesting map for ZVZ, isn't it? I mean, you can do a lot of things. You can go hatch first, but it's small enough that you can also be a bit aggressive too.
Yeah, the options are definitely on the table for both players. I mean, RevivaL, I've seen him play a lot in daily leagues such as Playhem and other tournaments, and usually you see TSL traditionally be very, very aggressive, especially the TSL Zergs, in sort of best-of-1 kind of situations. And I would say of all of them, TSL Hyun, probably most famous for one-basing it against absolutely everyone.
Absolutely,
but,
sure.
RevivaL is really not that far behind, and there are some select matches where you can see he's so good, he's able just to macro and go to distance with absolutely everyone, so it's not like he's dodging the macro game, but he really is also a little bit of a one-base specialist at times, especially in that best-of-1 situation, and I wonder whether he's going to be employing a little bit of that here in the team league in the first game, simply because if he's able to do that and get a very quick win, of course, against Sleep, then he will have removed CheckSix's ace, arguably, in the first match of the day, and that would really stand TSL in the good stead.
Oh, yeah, that would be a huge start to be able to do that in this match. Now, it looks like, oops, I clicked the production thing. It looks like, oh, yeah, I'm observing today, too, so if anyone has any complaints about that, just yell at me. I'm at Gosudoa on Twitter. What's your Twitter, Jorasar?
I'm at Jorasar on Twitter. So,
spelled like it sounds. Right?
Yep, spelled like it sounds. Just Jorosar.
Awesome.
And if anyone has any complaints on the not observing, I'll be over there as well.
Well, you can tell him about it too, but it may not do quite as much good. But looks like we had a pool first from both of these guys. The pool for Sleep coming up just ever so slightly later than for RevivaL. I believe it was a 16 pool rather than the 15 pool, and then into gas immediately to get that Zergling speed fairly quickly. Same thing more or less with RevivaL. He got the pool, then the gas to go for that quicker Zergling speed, and both players going ahead and going hatchery right after that. So looks like it will probably be a speedling expand, neither one trusting the other one enough to go for hatch first in this game, it looks like. But we're still kind of waiting. Now, the question is now, how aggressive will these players decide to be? You know, we've got a couple lings to scout coming out for Sleep right now, probably a few coming out very, very soon for RevivaL as well, getting his queen just a little bit earlier here, it looks like. But, you know, will we see an early Baneling Nest? Will we just see maybe some speedling aggression? There's a lot of different options that they can do still off at this point.
Well, RevivaL's doing what you always want to try and aim to do in ZVZ, which is exactly what your opponent's doing, but slightly later. And we saw that he got those lings just a little bit later than his opponent. Sleep is going to be able to get a complete scout off of RevivaL's main base, but at the same time, RevivaL also snuck in a couple of extra drones waiting for those lings to now pop out. And that means that, well, the drone counts are the same as it currently stands, but I'm pretty sure RevivaL's popped just that little bit sooner. And it's small differences like that that's going to enable him, really, to get a little bit of a larger difference in the long term.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got 4 lings to 2 right now, so RevivaL just slightly ahead on that. And the game we watched during Build Order Breakdown started out with Muta Baneling on Antigua Shipyard and then actually went into Mutalisk Ling versus Mutalisk Ling, which is a very odd thing to really see in ZVZ. So I doubt we're going to see the same type of game today. I mean, that's pretty rare, but it is a possibility. I mean, we do have a Baneling Nest going down for RevivaL, no early Roach Warren or anything like that. A lot of Zerg players will still tell you it's a little bit dangerous to go for a Roach Warren before a Baneling Nest in this matchup. Even if you're not planning on getting aggressive with Banelings, it's usually safe to just produce one and then scout well. So if you need it, you can get a couple Banelings on top of that ramp, things like that. Gas being researched still by Sleep, or not researched, he's just mining it right now. Whereas, yeah, RevivaL mining gas as well. So I wonder how quick we're going to see the lair. Looks like RevivaL maybe wanting to get a bit aggressive here, but we'll see. He's kind of setting things up, but actually, no, he doesn't really have anything across the map. I feel like this Baneling Nest is more defensive really than anything, but he's going for a very quick lair as well. Interesting. This is kind of starting to feel a little bit like Mutalisk play, isn't it? He's getting all 4 gases.
Indeed, it could well be. We don't see any Lings streaming across the map for Revival, so we're not going to be seeing a whole bunch of Banelings morphed outside the natural or anything like that. And usually just the stream or lack thereof of units on the mini-map is a big indicator of whether or not a Zerg just wants to be teching up at this point in the game. And taking that third and fourth gas, it looks like it really could be a little bit of an early muta play. And don't forget, one of the nice things I think about the new patch, the increased Overlord speed means that Zergs are able to scout each other just that little bit faster.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I get the impression that off of that, we've actually seen a little bit less cheese in ZVZ recently, because the surprise factor of your opponent seeing exactly what you're doing this early on in the game is just not gone, but reduced by a large degree just because of that earlier scouting.
It can be a little bit less, yeah, for sure. Sleep doing a little bit of scouting now, and he will actually see this Roach Warren that's come up for Revival. Revival going for a very quick Roach Warren and Infestation Pit as well, so just getting a ton of gas so that he can get upgrades for his Roaches, get Roaches and Infestors at the same time. So if Sleep isn't expecting, rather, the Infestors to come along with this, that could be very interesting in the long run. There is a Roach Warren. Where is it? Being produced for Sleep as well. There it is, Roach Warren for CheckSix Sleep. And he did get this really fast third, and it looks like he's actually going to be able to deny this one. Yeah, very nice by Sleep. Denying that third base in ZVZ is so big. You set your opponent quite a bit behind, especially if they're doing what Revival is doing right now and kind of teching a little bit aggressively. You really want to be able to get that third quick and get those extra fifth and sixth gases.
And it looks like from the unit production tab, we can vaguely see that Revival is going for a little bit more of a committal build, because he's getting that +1 missile attacks, pathogen glands, glial reconstitution. It's very clearly he's just going Roach Infester. And Sleep seems to be a little bit more flexible with the transitions he can have out of this build, but just because he went for the +1 armor out of that, so that if he wishes to transition back into something like Cracklings later on, just as part of a different composition, the upgrades still won't just be forgotten. So it's interesting to see the difference in opinion between these two sides, as the third base doesn't look like it's going to get harassed again. Sleep might have been able to try and do something there, but it looks like Revival had enough units in the area.
Yeah, I think he caught a glimpse of those Roaches coming with that Overlord that was hanging above the ramp, so yeah, better not to lose those Lings. You want to kind of keep all your units alive that you can, even if it is just a couple Zerglings. They are still very valuable at this stage in the game. Now the Roach count and the Infestor count for TSL Revival is rising pretty rapidly. Look at this, we've got for Revival not as many Roaches, but he does have those 3 Infestors out, and that's going to be something that'll really at least keep him safe for a little while. But he wants to get the Infestors out slightly earlier, let them build up on energy, and then start producing Roaches, whereas Sleep is just kind of going for Roaches a little bit quicker, so we might see a little bit more aggression from him. He also did decide to go for Carapace sooner rather than missile attacks, which is kind of interesting. It's not something you see very often in ZVZ. I'm not like a big math person, so I don't exactly know how well the math works out for the implications of getting +1 armor over +1 weapons, but generally, people like to get +1 weapons faster for the Roaches. It kills Zerglings a little bit quicker, and I don't know if the armor really makes a huge difference. Looks like a Ling run by for Sleep.
And he's going to be able to get a couple into the main base. 1 or 2 drones going down, but not too many as the Roaches pull the aggro from the remainder of the Lings. It looks like that was more for a little bit of a scout off than anything else. I think he got a drone with that, but otherwise, no more.
Yeah, I got some good information, and part of that information is that Revival was ready for him, right? So he did pull back these Roaches. It looks like he's not going to all-out attack with it. May decide to do a bit of a counterattack across the map with these Roaches. One option that you have in ZVZ is to kind of play like Nurchio, just kind of attack a bunch of places at once with quite a few Roaches. But speaking of attacks, it looks like Revival starting to get a bit aggressive here.
Building nothing but Roaches. Excellent concave for Revival. And there is a Baneling inside those Roaches from CheckSix Sleep, but unable to get any purchase on these Roaches whatsoever. The Infestor is now going to be joining the party as well. And even though there are Spine, look at this. Revival actually saving the energy on his Infestors just in case there's a bigger engagement where the Roaches clump up, because he knows he does not need those fungal growths to be able to. And in the meantime, yeah, good spot there, Doa. It looks like the third base is going to get killed off. However, if Revival can kill up everything in the natural, and look at this, all the drones being pulled for CheckSix Sleep now. Will CheckSix's ace go down in game? Oh my god, yes indeed. GG. Immediate GG from Sleep, and Revival taking out CheckSix's ace player in game number 1. That's going to be huge.
After losing that many drones to that fungal growth, that's